Welcome. Good evening and welcome to our third live CSEC math review session. Okay, if you do not know who I am Miss George, aka the Math Master and the CEO of Jumpstart Institute, an online learning institution. Okay, our focus is to improve academic performance of students and also to empower students through technology. And our focus this year, our main area of focus is mathematics. Okay, so I would like you to share, you that's there and you're on, I would like you to share this live to anyone that you know who is writing CSEC. We'll be writing the CSEC math exam next week on the 17th. It's right around the corner. Right now it's crunch time. This evening we'll be looking at graphs. And as I said, through Jumpstart Institute, we use technology. So this evening you will be engaged and you will be playing a math game based on graphs at CSEC math level. Okay, so if you can hear me, I'm here talking away. I'm not even sure if you can hear me. If you can hear me, type a Y in the chat so I know that you can hear me, that you can see the screen clearly. Okay, just type a Y in the chat. I can see your responses once you place them in the chat so that I know that you can hear me. Okay, great. So Journey is on and Journey placed a Y in the chat. So this means that you can hear me loud and clear. And Michelle, Elise, Coroni is there. Share this link. Okay. I am Tiana. Okay, great. Welcome. Share this link to anyone that you know who is writing the CSEC math exam next week. It's crunch time right now. The exam is right around the corner. And this evening, our game will be based on graphs, specifically the straight line graph and the quadratic graph. Okay, so go ahead and share this link. Let them know that I'm here and we are about to begin. We will be having another session, our final session will be held on the 16th, which is the eve of the exam. Okay, will be held at 7 p.m. That will be next week, Tuesday. Okay. So I would expect you all to be here and also to share the link to anyone who knows, that's going to write the exam. Okay, we also have available, for those of you who do not know, we also have available on our website, our CSEC Math Digital Study Guide. So those of you all who do not have access to this guide, I know that some of you all on here already have access. If you are looking for a crash course, a digital crash course, you would have to go to our website, okay, www.jumpstartinstitute.com. Let me type this in the chat for you all. Okay, let's see. I'm going to type the link for the website, www.jumpstartinstitute.com. Okay, while I'm here just explaining this to you all, you need to get your calculator. Okay, there are about 2 questions where you'll be required to calculate. So ensure that you have your calculator. You're going to need a pen or pencil and a paper, okay, for you to do some working. For me, some of the questions you will be required to do some calculation. Majority of them you are able to read the information from the graph. Okay, I designed it in a way where you do not have much calculation for you to do this evening. However, you will need your calculator, your scientific calculator, specifically the one that you plan to use on the day of the exam. Okay, one of the techniques and the strategies that you can use on the day of the exam is to ensure that, or in terms of preparation for your exam, ensure that you are familiar with your calculator. You should have been using the calculator that you plan to use on the day of the exam all throughout your practice. So get the calculator that you know that you are going to use. Okay, so as I said, you can go to www.jumpstartinstitute.com. Those of you who want access to the CSEC Digital Study Guide, once you click on Unlock the Success, Okay, this takes you to the guide for, you have a one-time payment of $39.99. You get access to that for 3 months. Okay, so this gives you access to all of our animated videos. Okay, with practice questions in there, sample, similar questions to what's on the exam. Okay, not the exact questions, but similar exam type questions. So it goes through all of the concepts, algebra, okay, relation, functions, and graph. It's in 2 parts. The second part, as you can see, this is one of the videos on the geometry, circle theorem here. Okay, so yes, you get access to trigonometry, matrices, vectors and matrices, all the different concepts that you need to know. This is a crash course for those of you all who are looking for something quick, doing some last minute studying. Okay, if you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. Go ahead and subscribe, hit that subscribe button. As I said, will be on again next week, Tuesday, okay? We are going to get ones, only ones this year. If you plan on getting a grade 1 this year, I want you to type a 1 in the chat for me, please. If you know next week when you write that CSEC math exam, you are going to get a grade 1 and you are working towards a grade 1, type a 1 in the chat for me, please. That's it. You have to believe that you are going to succeed in order for you to succeed. Once you believe that you will succeed and you work towards it, okay, by the grace of God and with prayers, you will succeed. Okay, that's nice. I need you all to be confident when you walk into this exam room. Because even if you see a question that you have never seen before, you have never seen, you probably forget, I don't want it to break you down during the exam. Okay? As I'm speaking about the exam, you are going to have 10 questions with different parts on the exam. You should not spend more than 15 minutes on a question. When I say question, I mean like question 1. It has multiple sections. You should not spend more than 15 minutes on a question. You cannot be 30 minutes going on one question. You will not have time to finish the exam, which is a very common comment that students give at the end of the exam. So make sure you time yourself during that exam. Make sure you number number your work. If you write on extra paper, do not write in the margins. Make sure your calculator is set in degree mode. Make sure you have a little D, okay, at the top of your calculator. Okay, once you have your scientific calculator, okay, let me show you all here. Once you have your scientific calculator, if you look on my calculator here to the top, there's a little D. If there's an R, it means that your calculator is set in the wrong mode. You need to set your calculator in degree mode. If you do not know how to change it, if you do not see the little D, ask your math teacher and they can have a look at your calculator to assist you in changing the mode of your calculator. Okay, so let's begin. I think how many persons we have here? We have 13 persons here. Okay, so everybody is here and ready for a grade 1. Okay, so let's get to the game. You know how we play. So I want you to go to www.kahoot.it. Okay, I'm typing the link in the chat. Once you click on this link, I am going to give you the code for the game. We have 10 questions this evening, all based on graphs, on the straight line graph, as well as the quadratic graph, the parabola. Okay, this is what we'll be looking at this evening. As I said, you will have a bit of calculation to do for probably about 2 or 3 of the questions. Majority of them, you will be estimating or reading the information from the graph. Okay, so the link, it's loading. The game is loading. We're about to begin. Share with a friend. The game code is 599 5567. Okay, once you click on www.kahoot.it, you enter. So I see Isaiah is there. You don't need to put your real name if you don't feel comfortable. Just put a little nickname And those of you who are playing for the first time, if you make a mistake, you are the only one who can see you made the mistake. And I can see on my back office, but no one else will know. Okay? So even if you make a mistake, I don't want that to discourage you from continuing to play the game. I will give a little bit of explanation. I may give you a little hint here and there, okay, to assist you. Okay? And for those of you playing for the first time, the points during the game, you get points based on how fast you answer the question, and obviously if the answer is actually correct. So it's not just about answering fast. You want to ensure that your answer is accurate. Okay, so let's see here. We have Kayla, KK, Naya, Ionese, all here to get a grade 1. Michelle, Isaiah, Nathan, Top G is here, and KD. That's how many persons? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay, how many persons do I have on the live? Let's see here. I see 15 persons signed on, so I'm seeing some persons are still trying to log on. Okay, if you all are ready for me to click that start button, I want you to type a J in the chat. J for Jumpstart Institute. Type a J in the chat if you want me to click that start button on the game and you're ready to show me that you are ready for it to get that grade 1 when you go to that exam room next week. Okay, so Nathan is ready, Kayla is ready, a number of persons are ready. Chicken Backs, I know that's not your actual name, but you are ready and you are good to go. Let me type the number in the chat for if someone is joining, 599-5567. Okay, and you would go to www.kahoot.it and then you would enter that code. Okay, so let's begin and good luck to everyone. Remember, you are all winners. The equation of a straight line is y is equal to a half x minus 3. Which of the following is true? Okay, so select the option which is true. Okay, so 8 persons got this correct. So based on the equation that we have here, y is equal to a half x minus 3. The correct answer was that the gradient is equal to a half and the y-intercept is equal to -3. Okay, so persons, the general format for the equation of a straight line graph is y is equal to mx plus c, where m and c are numbers. I would like you all to type in the chat for me the number which would be the coefficient of the x term, or what does m represent in that general format? What does m represent? I would like you all to type that answer for me in the chat. The coefficient of the x term for the equation for the straight line graph, that number that would appear here, what would that represent? The gradient. Excellent. So for example, if we have an equation y is equal to 2x plus 7, the number 2 would represent the gradient. The gradient refers to the slope of the line, okay? In this case here, I have a positive number, so this means that my line would be going upwards, okay? What does the letter C represent? The number that would be in the place of C, what would that represent? We already know that the coefficient of x would always be the gradient. What would C represent? Type that for me in the chat, please. What would C represent, or the number that would be in the place of C? Excellent. The Y-intercept. Okay, the Y-intercept. So here it is that we have our graph. Let's say, for example, our straight line graph is passing through the x-axis at the number 1. Our y-intercept in this case would be 1. So whenever you're looking for the y-intercept, this would be the point on the y-axis through which the graph passes or intersect. Okay, so in this case here, our y-intercept, as I'm looking at this graph, based on my example, would be 1. Okay, so the question, based on the question that we had a while ago, we had the equation y is equal to a half x minus 3. Okay, so as you can see, the coefficient of the x term is a half. So this means that our gradient is a half. Okay, and as you can see, the constant here in this equation is negative 3. Okay, so this means that our graph would cut through the y-axis at negative 3. Now, it's important that you note that this subtraction sign here means that the number is negative, okay? So the y-intercept is not positive 3, it's not just 3. Because there's a negative sign next to the number, it means that this number is negative 3. Okay, so let's get to our next question on our game. So I see Nathan is at the top and KK is there. KD top, G is climbing up. And who's that? Hooper. I know that must be a nickname, but Hooper is on the screen and he or she is trying to get it. So let's see the value of the y-intercept. You hear you hear y, so no one should be looking on the x-axis. No one should be looking on the x-axis. I said y-intercept. So your answer should be read from the y-axis. Excellent. Everybody got this correct. Excellent. So as you all saw on the graph that we had, our y-intercept, as I said, that's the point through the y-axis, the point on the y-axis through which the graph intersects or passes. So as you can see here, okay, it passes through negative 2. Could somebody tell me what's the coordinate of this point? The point that I just circled here. What's the coordinate of this point? Could you all type this in the chat for me, please? What's the coordinate of this point? Remember, coordinate would have two numbers. Okay. The first number would come from the x-axis and the second number comes from the y-axis. Excellent. 0, negative 2. Okay, because on the x-axis we add 0 here and then we go down to negative 2 on the y-axis. So always remember, in the alphabet, x comes before y. So whenever you're writing your coordinate, the first number comes from x-axis, the second number comes from y. Excellent. Cashel and Janae and Kayla and everybody else who said 0, negative 2. Okay, so let's go to the next question. You all are doing great. Excellent. So you're really getting that grade 1 next week. Nathan, Hooper is climbing. You see that arrow next to Hooper because Hooper is climbing. Okay, so let's see here, and top G's on the screen. You all are all doing great. The gradient of the straight line perpendicular to the line y is equal to negative a half x plus 3. What is the gradient of the line that is perpendicular? Okay, you have approximately 20 more seconds. So the gradient of the straight line, which is perpendicular to the line y is equal to negative a half x. Okay, so 9 persons got this correct. I see that 6 of you all got this incorrect. So let's see here. The gradient of the straight line, which is perpendicular to that line. Perpendicular means that the other line is going to intersect that line at 90 degrees. So let's say we have a straight line here. Okay, and we have another line which is perpendicular to that line. It means that they intersect at 90 degrees. Okay, so this is what they mean by perpendicular. Okay, now they gave us the equation of one of the lines. They said that y is equal to negative a half x plus 3. Okay, so I'm going to tell you all how we determine the gradient of the other line which is perpendicular to that line. You simply look at the gradient of the line that is given to you, okay, and you write the inverse of that gradient or the reciprocal, or sometimes your teacher may tell you flip the fraction. I am simply telling you to make the denominator, which in this case is 2, you make that the numerator, and you make the numerator the denominator, okay, and you change the sign. Okay, so as you can see, the gradient here is negative. So the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to that line will be positive. Positive what? Positive the inverse of what is given to you. Okay, so the answer was positive 2 because 2 divided by 1 is 2. Okay, so let's see here. What if I told you that I have a straight line and the gradient is, let's see here, 3/4 x minus 3. I'd like you to type for me in the chat the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to that line. Remember, the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to that line would be the inverse of that gradient, and you change the sign. Okay, so I'd like you to type that in the chat for me. What is the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to this line that I have on my screen? The gradient of this line is 3/4. Okay, excellent, negative 4/3. So again, you simply change the sign of the gradient that's given to you. So this would become negative, and you write the reciprocal of that gradient. So that is 4/3. Okay, now the reason why the gradient would be this is simply because the product of the gradient of the lines that are perpendicular will always be -1. When I say product, I simply mean if I take the gradients of both the lines and I multiply them together, I am supposed to get -1 if they are perpendicular. Okay, so if we were to multiply 3/4, if we were to multiply that by -4/3, the answer will be -1. Okay, the question which we had on the Kahoot, the gradient was what? It was a half, I believe, or -1/2. It was a half. If I have a half, then the gradient of the line which is perpendicular to this line would be -2. You can see -2/1, that's okay. Once I multiply these two gradients, I'm supposed to get -1. This is the case whenever the lines are perpendicular. Okay, the product of the two gradients must be equal to -1. To get the other, change the sign and just, as some of your teachers would say, flip the fraction, but I like to use the proper terms, reciprocal or inverse. Okay, so you're not doing great. Let's get back to the game. I think the next question is very similar to this one, so I expect everyone to get this question correct. Tell me the gradient of the straight line which is perpendicular to this line. Remember, change the sign, write the inverse of the gradients. Okay, y'all are doing great. Y'all are doing great. Y'all have approximately 30 more seconds. The gradient of the straight line perpendicular to the line y is equal to 2/3 x minus 3. Okay, excellent. So a lot more persons got this correct. Okay, so again, the equation of the straight line that we had was y is equal to 2/3 x minus 3. The question asked us for the gradient of another line which is perpendicular to this line. As I said, you simply change, well, first you would need to identify the gradient, which in this case is 2/3. The other gradient, because it is perpendicular, would be you change the sign. So this is positive, so our answer will be negative, and we write the reciprocal of what we have. Okay, 3.5. And the reason why we are doing this is simply because 2/3 multiplied by negative 3/2. Okay, once you multiply this, your result will be -1. Okay, and this is the case whenever two straight lines are perpendicular, the product of their gradients will always be -1. Okay, so let's get to the next question. You all are doing great. You all are really working for this grade 1. I see Kayla on the screen here. Who is down here trying to get? I have 3 players have reached answer streak. Okay, excellent. And KK. It's like every question I see different persons on the screen. So you see everybody working towards that grade 1, okay? So the next question, the gradient of a straight line passing through the points 2, 7, and 3, 6. So here you have to do a bit of calculation. Calculate the gradient for me, please. Passing through these 2 points. I will tell you all the formula. The gradient is, to calculate the gradients, you have to calculate the change in y over the change in x. In other words, you calculate the difference of the y values in the coordinates divided by the difference in the x values of the coordinates. The gradient is the change in y over change in x. Okay, you all are doing great. Okay, just a few more seconds remaining. Okay, so let's see. Half of you all got it correct. Half of you all got it incorrect. So let's see. So again, this is a formula that you will need to know. Okay, so to calculate the gradients. Okay, so your gradient, I'm going to use the letter M. In some cases, you may see B, is equal to the change in y over the change in x. This fancy symbol here, like the triangle, simply means change in y. Okay, it means change in. What does change in y mean? It simply means that you're going to subtract your 2 y values divided by the difference between your 2 x values. Now, here's what I want you to do on the exam once they ask you to calculate the gradient. To make this very simple, all you do is you line up your gradients like you're going to stack them one on top of each other. So I'm going to write the next one, 3, 6, like this, one on top of each other, because this makes it much easier for you to calculate the gradient. Okay, so here we are going to calculate the difference between our y values, because the numerator is the change in y. So I simply say 7 minus 6. Okay, then we say our change in x. I'm starting at the top, so I say 2, take away 3. Now, it really doesn't matter which coordinate is placed at the top or which is placed at the bottom. It doesn't matter. Your answer will still be the same. Okay, so 7 take away 6, that's 1. Okay, and 2 take away 3, that gives us negative 1. 1 divided by negative 1, that would be negative 1. Therefore, our gradient will be negative 1. So again, the formula to calculate the gradient is the difference in your y values divided by the difference in your x values. Stack your coordinates one on top of each other and it will be much easier for you to calculate. Okay, so I believe the next question is very similar to this one. Okay, I tell you, every wrong is in different. Rose is now on the screen. Rose was not there at all, but Rose is now there. So you see, I know you all are working hard for that grade 1. So here it is. You have another opportunity to calculate the gradient for me. The change in y divided by your change in x. Stack your coordinates. And you can use your calculator. That's okay. Use your calculator for this. This is like a paper 2 question, but I'm just giving you multiple choice here. I expect everybody to get this correct. I want everybody to get this correct. I'm even giving you all confetti already. I'm giving you all some confetti because I want you all to get this correct. I told you it's okay for you to use your calculator, okay, because this will come on, well, I mean, it can come on multiple choice, but we know that the paper 2 is next week, okay, and for the paper 2 you are allowed to use your calculator. So go right ahead and use your calculator if you are uncertain about the calculation. You have 3 more seconds to answer. Okay, so I see here some persons still got this incorrect. Okay, I believe if you used your calculator, some of you would not, because the answer that I'm seeing that some of you are giving me. Okay, so let's see here. The coordinates are 8 and negative 1, 10 and 1. So again, as I said, you simply stack your coordinates one on top of each other like this. Okay, so then as I said, you're changing y over your change in x. So let's calculate the difference, negative 1 minus 1. Then our change in x, 8 minus 10. Could somebody tell me the value for negative 1 minus 1? Type the answer in the chat for me, please. Negative 1 minus 1, I forget how to calculate. I need some help. What's negative 1 minus 1? Is the answer positive 2 or is the answer negative 2? The answer is a negative 2. Okay? Whenever you're adding and subtracting, your answer always takes the sign of the bigger number. Both numbers are negative. My answer is going to be negative. Okay? So our numerator here would be negative 2. And what's 8 minus 10? And had you used your calculator, you would not be telling me this. Listen, if you're uncertain about your calculation, use your calculator, but you have to use the calculator fast on the exam because time is going. It's speed and accuracy. This is why I'm timing you all on this game. Okay, so it's negative 2. So 8 minus 10 is also negative 2. And negative 2 divided by negative 2. Remember I told you all the last live we had, only in math 2 wrongs make a right. 2 negative, your answer will be positive. Okay, so negative 2 divided by negative 2, the answer is positive 1. Okay, so therefore the gradient was a positive 1. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to get back to the game. You all are doing great. You all are doing great. Let's get back to the game. I'm giving you all some confetti here. Top G is still there on the live. Okay. So let's go. The equation of the axis of symmetry. No calculation, just look at the graph and tell me select the equation of the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is that straight line that is going to cut your graph in half. So whatever line you choose, it should cut or divide that graph in two equal pieces. Okay? So go ahead and select the axis of symmetry. Okay, so let's see here. The axis of symmetry, as I said, is that straight line that cuts your graph in half. Okay, so the axis of symmetry was actually x is equal to 0.5. Let's take a look at this graph. Okay, so if I draw a line. Okay, first of all, before I draw the line, could somebody tell me? Okay, so we have, before I draw this line here, this is my x-axis, right? And this is my y-axis. What is the name of this straight line? It's passing through the x-axis at the number 3. What is the equation of this line? Okay, you hear the word equation. It must have an equal sign in whatever answer you're giving me. I bent it to the side so you can see the number. This purple line is passing through the x-axis at the number 3. Could you all type for me the equation of this line in the chat? What is the equation of this line? It's passing through the x-axis. Excellent, excellent. The equation of this line is x is equal to 3. It's cutting the x-axis at the number 3. This is the x is equal to 3 line. Excellent. Okay, if I were to draw a line through the number 1 on the x-axis, this is the x is equal to 1 line. If I were to draw a line straight through the number 0 on the x-axis, this is the x is equal to 0 line. So our y-axis is also referred to as the x is equal to 0 line. Okay, so again, if you look at our graph carefully, the axis of symmetry would fall directly between positive 0 and positive 1 on our x-axis. Okay, I'm not holding my ruler straight, but let's see here. Let me get this drawn for you all. Okay, so this straight line is halfway through 0 and 1. So this means that this number here on the x-axis would be 0.5. Therefore, the equation of the axis of symmetry will be x is equal to 0.5. Okay, so let's get back to the game. Let's get to the next question. Now I see a KD on the screen. I'm just seeing new names. I'm giving you all some confetti because I'm seeing that you all are working hard. Okay, excellent. We're going to the next question, which is very similar to the previous one. So tell me now, what is the equation of the axis of symmetry of this graph? Okay, I just get a feeling that more than 90% of you are going to get this correct. I'm even giving you all some confetti to motivate you all. Okay, so you see, more than 90%, 11 out of 13. Okay, so yes, the axis of symmetry was x is equal to 0. It was actually the y-axis. When they ask you for the equation, don't tell them y-axis. Tell them x is equal to 0. They ask for an equation. So therefore, you want to give them the answer as an equation. Okay, so as you can see, this line is passing directly halfway through this graph, sharing it into two equal parts. And this line would be referred to my pink line here, which is the y-axis, is the x is equal to 0 line. Okay, you all are doing great. You all are doing great. Excellent. Okay, so we are on to number 9. We are on to number 9. So KK is there at the top and Rose is on fire with a fire streak. So using the graph, select the values of x when y is equal to 0 of the graph. Well, this graph is called y is equal to x squared. Nice. So 9 out of 13 persons got this correct. Okay, so using the graph, select the values of x when y is equal to 0. So how do we identify the values of x? First of all, I said the values of x. So no one should have been looking at the y-axis. I said the values of x. Okay? When y is equal to 0, you simply look on the x-axis at the point where the graph intersects the x-axis. At these points, y is equal to 0. Okay, so the values of x would be x is equal to -1 and x is equal to 2. CSEC may also ask you for the same answer. They could tell you they could ask you for the x-intercept. Okay, I'm going to type this here. They could ask you for the x-intercept. If they ask you for the x-intercept, they are simply asking you for the values of x where the graph intersects the x-axis. Okay? And if they ask you for y-intercept, they will be asking you for the value on the y-axis where the graph touches the y-axis. Another way that CSEC could ask you for these same values here, they could ask you, what's the solution of the graph? What's the solution of the equation, y is equal to x squared minus x minus 2. By reading the graph, the solution will be the point on the x-axis where the graph intersects. Okay, so they could ask you for these same answers using many different ways. Okay, so here y is equal to 0. Therefore, the values are at the intersection. Okay, so I'm giving you some confetti for this. I'm so proud of you all. We are on to our final question. KK is at the top. And it says here, nice. Emma is back with an answer streak. Okay, so again, even if you do not see your name on the screen, I know that some of you are getting the answers correct, but maybe not answering fast enough. These are the persons that are answering quick. This is why the names are on the screen. So we are on to our final question. Select the y-intercept. I said y, so stop looking at the x-axis. Y-intercept. Okay, so you have 6 more seconds to tell. I think everyone is going to get this correct. I'm already giving you all confetti. You see that? 12 persons got this correct. 1 person did not answer because I know it's 13 persons on this game. So excellent, excellent, excellent. That is what you call ending with a bang. Everyone got this correct. So here I asked for the y-intercept. So this is where the graph will intersect with the y-axis. And this is at this point here. Okay? So I know I already asked you for the coordinate for this one. It's 0, -2. Okay, so the value for x would be 0 at this point. But the y-intercept would be y is equal to -2. Okay, so I think you all did an excellent, excellent, excellent job here. Okay, just to remind you all, if you have not yet subscribed to this channel, you need to click that subscribe button. You need to share this YouTube channel with your friends who are going to be doing CSEC math. Why? Because we will be on again next week, Tuesday, okay, for our final session of our CSEC math review marathon. Those of you who have been here from day 1, okay, I'm super proud of you. It shows that you are dedicated to getting that grade 1. Okay, you are dedicated to succeeding on the exam. Okay, could you all just type the name of your country for me, please? Let me see where you all are from. Let's see where you all are from. For those of you all who do not know me and you're here on the live for the first time, my name is Miss George, aka the Math Master, the CEO of Jumpstart Institute Dominica, and I am originally from Dominica, but I live here on the beautiful island of Anguilla. Okay, so I have 2 homes now, Dominica and Anguilla. I love both countries. Okay, I love both countries. So Anguilla, and somebody said China, but I don't think so. This looks like Jaleh, and you're not from China. Okay, so I see a lot of Dominicans here. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And St. Lucia, Sakafet. For those of you who do not know what that means how are you? So the St. Lucian, I can talk a little patois, Moisa Pale or Ti patois. Those of you from Dominica, you probably understand as well. Okay, so persons, I will be on again, God's willing, by the grace of God. I will be on. Karoni, you're not from Africa, Karoni. Okay, that's where our roots are from, but I know you're from Anguilla, okay? So yes, I will be on again next week, Tuesday, God's willing, the eve of the exam for the final session of our math review. Those of you all who missed the previous sessions, you can review the sessions. They are there on YouTube. Those of you all who are looking for a crash course, probably you have just not been paying attention to well in class and you want a crash course which covers every concept for the math exam, you can find that at www.jumpstartinstitute.com for $39.99 one-time payments. Okay, once you go to our website, okay, once you go to our website right here, once you scroll down, well, just here, and you click on unlock the success, because that's what you'll be doing. You'll be unlocking the success once you get into that CSEC Math Complete Digital Study Guide. It's hands down the best digital study guide in the Caribbean. I know, I created it. Okay, so once you get in there, you will find 2 sections, part 1 and part 2. Part 1 takes you through number theory and computation, consumer arithmetic, a lot of similar exam type questions on your algebra, relation, function, and graph. And part 2 is going to take you, this is just a sample video here on the geometry. Listen, we're even looking at the Fibonacci sequence, everything. We are covering everything in this guide, measurements, statistics, geometry, breaking down everything for you. Okay, so you need to get this guide if you know that you need a crash course. Okay, tell your friends about it. Okay, so again, subscribe to the channel if you have not. And let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game. So I'm going to click the button. Remember, we are all winners and I expect everybody to get a grade 1. But for this game, we have some top players. And we have KD at number 3. We have Rose at number 2. And this evening, we have KK at number 1 and Top G, and Whoopa is at number 5. I'm super proud of you all. You all did an excellent job this evening. Okay, I'm hoping to see you all next week. Next week Tuesday, that is at 7 p.m. Same time, same place. Please let your friends know about this. Don't just keep all of this excitement to yourself. Okay, so share. You are most welcome, Miss Challenger. You are most welcome. Okay, so I will see you all next week. Again, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please go ahead and do so. And I will see you all next week, God's willing. Bye. Bye. Oh, and by the way, if you want, let me lower this a while. If you want the, you know what? Let me end the game. I am going to send the link. Hold on 1 second. Those of you all who want the link to the game, I'm just going to send it in the chat right now. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to remove the timer on it. And I am going to send you this game link. I'm going to put it in the chat. So once you click on this, you are able to play the same game that we just played. I removed the timer so that you can take your time and work through it. Okay, so I'll see you all. Adios, as Karoni said. Au revoir, a bientôt. I will see you all. Bye.